This episode of FAQ Monday is brought to you by Audible. Well, hello, and welcome to another FAQ Monday. I am your host, Fluff, and I have my cup of coffee ready. Do you? Because you should. Because we're gonna answer some questions and hang out a little bit. First question! You can pick any single guitar, any single amp, and any two pedals to go on tour. What do you take? Oh man, that's actually that's kind of what you ask yourself when you go on a tour, especially one that's like longer, like 6 weeks. Like, there is no running home. If something doesn't work out or something breaks down, you have to think about, okay, I'm not coming back here for almost 2 months. What am I gonna take? So, any single guitar, I'd probably take my Music Man Valentine because I love that guitar and it's such a rock and roll machine. It's a slab body. It's like the most simplest guitar ever. I would take the Music Man Valentine. I would take, let's see, what else do I get to pick? Any single amp. I would take my Orange Rocker Verb 50. Two pedals. I would take an MXR Smart Gate and a TS-808 Tube Screamer. I guess that's what I would take. Does a pedal count as a does wireless count as a pedal as well? I don't really know. Yeah, that's what I would choose. Music Man Valentine, Rocker Verb 50, Noise Gate, and a Tube Screamer. That's what I would take. What do you think of the Lee Malia RD guitar? I think it's a cool guitar. I've kind of mentioned it before. The last time that Bring Me the Horizon were in Seattle with Beartooth and Under Oath, I got to go and visit Lee and his guitar tech, and I went in the back and said, "What's up?" And they're like, "Hey, you wanna see something cool?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah, of course I do." And they're like, "Okay, but you can't take any pictures at all." And Lee was like, "Yeah, this is like super top secret." And I was like, "Okay, well, what are you guys about to show me?" And he gets out the very first prototype of his signature RD guitar, because they knew I loved RDs, and I was like, what? And it was so awesome. It felt really good in the hand, and he did such a great job on the design. And I think it's actually one of the only Gibson bodied guitars that actually looks correct, and it looks visually appealing with the Epiphone shape headstock. It looks like it belongs there as opposed to like a Gibson style headstock. I love the guitar, and they're kind of hard to find. And I also wish they would weigh more because they're pretty light guitars. But yeah, Lee did a really good job with that guitar. I do hope to get one at some point though. Rammstein guitar tone? I've always been a huge fan of the Rammstein guitar tone. And it wasn't until years later, because everyone heard Du Hast, like back in like the late 90s, right? It wasn't until years later where Richard Z is a huge dual rectifier nut, and he's like a huge 2-channel pre-500 dual rectifier nut. And I thought that was the coolest thing because their guitar tone is a very distinctive, it is very like drop the hammer. It's very aggressive, and it feels like a sledgehammer hitting you over the head. And that's how I describe those early dual recs as well. And I love the fact that he's just stuck to rectifiers his entire career. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Rammstein. I'm a huge Rammstein fan. So I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's a brilliant songwriter. And he was also one of the first guys that ever had like a robotic mic placement thing in their home studio that I saw back in the day. And that was mind blowing as well. But yeah, Rammstein, guitar tone, EMGs into dual rectifiers. Yeah, it's okay with me. I'm about to be a dad. How did you find time to play, learn to record, and build up a good amount of guitar knowledge? Well, first, congratulations, man. That's amazing. As far as becoming a dad, I haven't done that in almost 18 years now, and I can tell you that all of my recording knowledge and learning and all of this didn't come until much, much, much later. When my daughter was born, I was playing shows up until she was born. And then honestly, I touched my guitar, I had time to touch my guitar maybe like 4 or 5 times in the span of like 2 years. And I'm not exaggerating. My stickered Strat used to sit in the corner of my bedroom apartment, and I would just look at it, and I would change the strings on it. I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't have time to play it. I would have time to change strings, and then it would sit until the strings would go all gross, and then I would change them again. I kept up the guitar in hopes that I would be able to play it. I barely played the guitar for the first like 3 years of her life because I was so busy being a dad. And that's okay. What you can do now, I guess, you know, the internet and the world was a very different place in 2001. You know, you can do a lot of reading. You can bone up on your knowledge right on your cell phone. And as opposed to just, you know, spending lots of time in a studio or learning to record or something like that. So you still can have time to do that, but it's the little slivers of time that you're gonna have to take advantage of. There's not going to be any huge gaps of time for the first few years at least. But you know what? That's all good. And now Fluff reads a tweet. Can someone tell me the physics behind a beanie turning on your head while talking? I don't get that. My suggestion to you this week is to check out the soundtrack to the Motley Crue biopic, The Dirt. I was a huge Motley Crue fan back in the day, and seeing the movie and hearing the music again has made me revisit their catalog that I just love. I'm a huge Mick Mars fan. I think he's such an underrated player, and The Dirt soundtrack is kind of like a greatest hits, and it's just great music, man. So if you like nasty guitar riffs and very questionable song subjects, definitely give the Dirt soundtrack a try. All the big links down below in the description. You have been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you like hearing crazy rock and roll stories from a music industry gone by, I highly recommend listening to Soundman from Glenn Johns on Audible. Audible is the best place online to find audiobooks, and I personally love audiobooks while on long drives in between tour dates to keep myself awake, setting up lights at home, or generally just trying to relax on a quiet weekend. So go to audible.com/Ryan Bruce or text Ryan Bruce to 500-500 and start your 30-day free trial. Audible members get 3 free titles a month, 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals. So if you're looking for additional suggestions, I highly recommend Neil deGrasse Tyson's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. So why not give it a shot? Go to audible.com/Ryan Bruce or text the code Ryan Bruce to 500-500 to start your free 30-day trial now.